Alright guys, this is Delta from YGO Anime Games, and this is Jack's deck profile. We are right in the middle of our 5Ds wave. We just released 5 new decks, including Jack's and the other signers. We do say to begin with. If you didn't see the Jack vs. They duel, definitely check that out. That's also the intro to our waves. Anyway, we're not only bringing you 5Ds content, but we're expanding to do a whole bunch of new content too. Things like top lists, discussions, a lot of awesome content is coming your guys' way. We talked about that in our Deck Expo too. If you haven't seen that, check that out. This deck is based on the first season, the Fortune Cup, and the Earthbound Immortal Dark Signers arc. Jack played a lot of cards, and rather than have to cut down 60, 70 cards to just 40 and miss a lot of his cards that we love to play with, we thought it would make a lot of sense to give him 2 decks, one for the first season, one for later on. That way we can use as many of his cards as possible. It really just lets us see all the Jack cards we want to, and so you won't see some of the new Resonator monsters in here, Barrier, Chain Resonator, all that stuff. You won't see a lot of his newer Red Dragon Archfiend support, like Red Dragon Vase, etc. in this deck, but it's a really cool deck nonetheless. Anyway, that aside, let's just go right on with it. So first up is 2 Battle Fader. The one downside of making 2 separate Jack's decks is that in the first season, he didn't play 40 unique cards, so there are a few cards duplicated. And we did include a few cards we saw in his hand or saw him discard. But yeah, Battle Fader is a really good one. Definitely saw competitive play. It's always really good to be able to stop attacks and the battle phase, especially when it's from your hand. Big piece golem. Obviously got to be there. You just want to make that multiple piece golem. We have 2 Dark Resonator. Not much more to say here. He definitely used this a lot in the first season, even before he used the other Resonators. Definitely a lot of dark monsters in his deck. Dark Tinker. Now you will notice that Dark Tinker is errata. If this is your first time seeing one of our videos, we do errata quite a few cards. Not too many, but enough that it keeps it a little more like the anime. Dark Tinker is one of those cards. His effect is just a lot better with the anime effect, and it definitely helps Jack's deck out more. Now, interestingly, Dark Tinker was a level 3 monster in the anime. We don't really errata star levels, just effects. So just the effects is errata here. You can see all erratas in our errata document in the description. We also have all our deck lists, including Jack's, typed up in our deck list document. So you can check that out as well. And while you're checking our links, you might as well see our Facebook and our Patreon if you're interested in getting some exclusive content supporting us. Anyway, 2 Mad Archfiend, another monster duplicated. This is one we just saw Jack play a lot. Even we saw him play it even back in like flashbacks. Then we have Magic Hole Golem, which has a solid defense. Not the greatest effect, but being able to attack directly with the monster can sometimes win you the game and can be pretty good. Medium Piece Golem. Like Big Piece Golem, you want to see multiple piece Golem. That's the objective. Then we have Ogre of the Scarlet Shadow, which interestingly in the anime was called Weeping or Crying Ogre or something similar to that. Anyway, it's got a very interesting effect. It's similar to Battle Fader being able to summon itself from the hand. You can summon it when you would take a second direct attack, and its attack becomes equal to the attack of the first monster that attacked directly. Very interesting effect. Also, if you know you're playing Jack's deck, it gives the opponent the opportunity to play around it. Say they have a 1000 attack monster and a 1600 attack monster. If they attack directly with the 1000 attack monster first, when you summon Ogre of the Scarlet Shadow, it's going to be 1000 attack, the first monster's attack. And if they save their stronger one, say 1600, they can get over it. But a good and interesting card nonetheless. Power Supplier, not that strong, but an extra attack boost can be useful. Sinister Sprocket, just another tuner with a decent effect. Another dark monster also. Then we have Small Piece Golem, sometimes helpful. Ooh, and here we have Strongwind Dragon. One of the only very strong tribute monsters in his deck. Its ability also lets it get some more attack, and has a little Kaiser the glider type effect. I remember Jack some of that in the duel with Carly, and I really liked seeing that one. I mean the duel where Carly was helping him in the hospital. I should say Trap Eater. So this is an example of a card that Jack only used later on, but we saw in his hand. So we decided to include it in this deck because we saw it in his hand even in the first season. Like we said, we were short cards, so especially if we know Jack played something later, we don't have a problem with including it. Twin Shield Defender. This is going to defense. What are you going to say? Twin Sword Marauder. Pretty good. another dark monster, another warrior. There's definitely a decent amount of both of those in Jack's deck. Anyway, pretty useful effect. And then we have double Vice Dragon to finish it off. Like a worse Cyber Dragon, but slightly stronger stats, at least at defense. If you add that up between attack and defense, it's got 4,400 points total, a little more than Cyber Dragon. And then we have Cost Down, so a classic Kaiba card, which Jack definitely coincidentally uses a few of. Maybe he's supposed to be a little bit like Kaiba. Not really sure. They weren't heavy-handed enough for that one. But anyway, yeah. Not bad in his deck. Double Summon. It's actually pretty useful. Using GX and 5Ds. Megamorph. You know, again, he didn't play all these cards. We don't include that many that just seen the characters' hands are discarded. This is a fairly rare exception. 2 Mind Trust. It can be useful. It can be hard to tribute something to always grab the tuner that you want, but still comes in handy. And 1 Polymerization. So Jack didn't play this at first. When he made Multiple Piece Golem early on, he used a speed spell. Obviously, we didn't have access to that, so Polymerization has got to go in for the Multiple Piece Golem. Most of Jack's tools, the first 64 episodes, were speed duels, so that's part of the reason he doesn't have a lot of spells to begin with, because he didn't really use many normal spells early on. But regardless, moving on to traps. Changing Destiny. A really cool card. This he used in the duel against Carly, and gave her the choice. It's a pretty useful trap at stopping your opponent. Switch to monster defense mode. Crimson Fire. So this is the other card in Jack's deck. That is errated. It's just a little easier to play with its anime effect, and like I said, we have the errata document, you can check it out there. It just lets you use it with more than just a Red Dragon Archfiend. So, a little bit better. Descending Lost Star. It has its uses. Also shows up in Yusei's deck. Fiendish Chain. One of Jack's more powerful cards. Definitely one that saw competitive play. The ability to stop someone's effects and it attacking is huge. Lineage of Destruction. Yeah, not that bad. Not always useful, but I mean, you can win a game with it and stuff sometimes. Powerful Rebirth. Pretty good to be able to pull back what you want, and you can increase his level. It makes it very easy to get a Red Dragon Archfiend if you have, say, Dark Resonator. You bring back a level 4, make a level 5. It was one of the cards that had a slightly different effect in the anime, but we didn't feel it was significant enough. You guys will notice, we don't change every card. There's hundreds and hundreds that were different from the anime with their printed effects, but we don't change them all. Prideful Roar, a really good battle trap. Not much else to really say. Just boost your monster over theirs. Revival Gift. Sure, you're giving your opponent something, but if you get the exact tuner you need, doesn't really matter. Shadow Spell, which we saw Jack use, back when he was in the Satellite originally. I really like Jack's character arc. That's something we can talk about later, but I think he did pretty good. A little bit of redemption after betraying Yusei. And it's also a Kaiba card. Surprise, surprise. 2 Space Gate. That's a really cool card of Jack's. It can be useful. Special summoning from the hand isn't obviously as good as special summoning from the deck, but it can still be a very good effect. Synchro Deflector. Destroying stuff is really good, right? Right, guys? And then his last trap is Tuner Capture. Useful, definitely, if you need to get a tuner, depending on opponent's synchro summoning. But anyway, that is a 40-card main deck. We're really happy with it, especially considering there weren't a lot of spells played by Jack early on. The deck plays very well, and definitely feels faithful to Jack's character. Moving on to the extra deck, and there will be a side deck after the extra deck. We have Exploder Dragon Wing. So, this is really cool to see played. Not just Red Dragon Archfiend. Pretty useful effect too, destroying monsters. Then we have Majestic Red Dragon. Really, really cool. Just like Majestic Star Dragon. When these are played, it kind of blows you away, and they're super, super strong. Just having protection from destruction is huge. The ability to negate stuff, huge as well. Very, very powerful. This and Majestic Star Dragon. And they're appropriately hard to bring out for their power level. Multiple Piece Golem, 2600 attack, isn't bad. Doesn't have any, super useful effect other than being able to summon the pieces back. But not going to complain. Red Dragon Archfiend. Jack Signer Dragon, played all the time. What more really needs to be said? Seeing this and Stars go head to head is always cool, and maybe that'll happen on the channel someday. Fingers crossed. And that is it for his 4-card extra deck. Now we do have a side deck for Jack, so we have a side deck for Yusei, and that includes Majestic Dragon. So we'll talk about this in the Yusei deck profile as well. We decided to leave Majestic Dragon out of the main deck because they only specifically drew the card in certain conditions. We saw them draw it for a few duels when their signer mark was glowing. So, it's not like Yusei and Jack just drew Majestic Dragon whenever they, were dueling. If Yusei dueled Leo for fun, it's not like he drew Majestic Dragon. We saw it come to them for like specific duels, like Yusei versus Cowan. So we felt it was appropriate to keep it in the side deck and then put it in for those kinds of specific games, as well as just having it in there as a card they could draw every game. Because then there's something Majestic Star Dragon or Majestic Red Dragon, all the time, willy nilly. It definitely made sense for us based on the way the show was written and the lore behind that in the show. And then Stardust Dragon. I guess I've dropped a couple spoilers from 5Ds, but spoiler alert, Jack had this in the beginning of the series. He took it from Yusei, so it's kind of appropriate to have it in there. That way it could be used in, say, Yusei versus Jack duel. But anyway, that is Jack's 40-card main deck, 4-card extra deck, and 2-card side deck. We are really hyped for 5Ds, guys, especially Jack is a character we really like. He's like the, Kaiba of 5Ds, and we already had Yusei, the main character of 5Ds, for a while now. So it's exciting to introduce the signers. We're going to keep doing duels. We're going to keep doing deck profiles. Don't stop watching, guys. 5Ds is in full swing. And like I said, there's lots of other cool content coming to the channel, so don't miss that kind of stuff as well. We're going to do product openings. We're going to do top lists, all this really fun stuff. Keep watching for all that, guys. We're super excited for where the channel's going, and thank you as always. If you're not already subscribed to us, definitely do that. We have over 70 character decks. It's really, really cool stuff. Like the video, comment, let us know what you guys' thoughts are, and YGO Anime Games out.